Hello everyone and welcome to what is potentially the biggest request I've ever had in terms of a video. What makes a good summary book? Now, yes, behind me you see a bit of a disclaimer. If I knew how to create a summary book that got every single one of you a 50 in every exam you ever did, then I probably would already be doing that and making an absolute fortune. But I'm sitting here talking to myself. But I have some tips and tricks which hopefully will see you do a much better job than maybe you're doing, or at least perfect what you're doing. But ultimately, you do you, which I have to say is a crazy, awful sounding expression. But anyway, you know how you learn best. You know what you need to do best, and you know what will provide you the least stressful way forward. All right. A lot of what I'm going to suggest here might go against everything you believe in. That's fine. As I say, you do you. But I'm going to pass on the information I give to my kids and the kids I teach. And last year, I got quite a few, actually quite a lot, of 40s in my maths group. Now, again, I'm not necessarily attributing that to anything about this summary book. There is also the teaching. But just know that the advice I'm about to give you is best advice that I can give. All right, so there we go. That's that bit over. Now, what makes a good summary book in mathematics? Yeah, it's a bit of a sales pitch. I happen to have created one, but that's not really the purpose of this video. It's there as a resource if you want to use it, okay? There are VCAA questions, and what you'll notice is I've chosen the questions that had low percentage rates. I give you sort of solutions, the correct answer, and ultimately where I can, where people tripped up, what made them hard. But having a summary book on just its own, printing it off, putting it in a cupboard and whipping it out in November is not going to be helpful. You have to know what's in it. There are also pages in terms of, writing frames for exam answers. And again, please know this is for general maths. I have a methods one being written at this moment in time. It's taking a lot longer than I thought because I don't want to mess it up. So just bear with me for that one there, but more on that in a moment. Now, what I'm going to do is talk to you about the common mistakes I think I see. And the first one is, can I take in the textbook? No, please don't take in the textbook. I have seen too many general maths students panic. Don't do a summary book. Leave it to the last moment and think, oh, stuff it. I'll just take in the textbook. And then all that happens is they spend most of the exam flicking through the textbook, trying to remember where they think they saw something. I've taught this course for about 15 years, and I can tell you now, I still don't know where half the stuff is in the textbook because I'm not going to memorize it. And if I have taught it for 15 years, the chances of you taking it in and being even vaguely useful is fairly slim. Look, to be honest with you, it's that most of those pages you're not even going to need anyway, because they've got examples, they've got questions, they've got answers, they've got summary. It's just too much. Okay, as a last resort, take it in. If you've got nothing else, take it in. But I generally think you're going to spend more time flicking through and you're just going to waste time doing it. So probably don't take in the textbook. Can I take in someone else's notes? No, please. Same idea as the textbook. The whole point about a summary book is you know exactly what is in it. You know where it is, you know what page stuff is on, you know exactly as you wrote it on the whole, or at least you've read it. So taking in someone else's notes, that's what they didn't understand. That's what they needed. You could probably flick through and go, I need that stuff on matrices. Oh, it's not here. It's not here. Because the person who wrote the summary books remembered all that stuff. And so basically you've just taken in a summary book that is next to useless, right? So you want to take in something that's fairly useful. Can I bind all the VCAA papers together? I've seen that. I've literally seen somebody in one school take in the textbook, bound to a load of exam papers, bound to their actual note, their exercises books. Oh, honestly. Not only did they need a forklift truck to get in with it, how useful was it? No, it just took up space on their desk. They had no idea what they were looking for because they were like, there might be a question come up that I can actually see. No. How are you going to know what paper it's in? You're going to spend more time memorizing that than you actually do the content. I mean, this year's exam alone, if you look at the number of pages in each of them, I think it was 54 pages. And that's just for two papers. They were quite thick, just two papers. I don't think binding the VCAA papers together is a good idea. Well, can I take in all my workbooks? No. Please don't bind all your workbooks. Those workbooks are going to be filled with like 1,000 questions you're not actually even going to need. And again, yes, you might have some doodles in the corner, but where are you going to find quickly and easily all the stuff that you need? And that's the whole point of a summary book, that you can pick it up, go straight to the page you need, the section you need, the sentence you need, and copy it down, not flicking through pages and pages of stuff you don't actually need. Now, hello, mum. I'm just joking. It's not my mum. I want you guys to think of VCAA examiners in much the same way as that, all right? Much like librarians in the United Kingdom who scared the life out of me most of the time. You'd only walk in there and talk and they go, shh. And they'd be like, all right, okay, too scary. Now, the VCAA examiners, the ladies and gentlemen who sit and walk up and down those corridors, are there for one main task. Yes, to make sure you don't cheat, but two, to make sure your summary books comply. And if your summary book doesn't comply, I can promise you now, it will be taken off of you. Imagine the stress you are going to feel when you walk into that exam and before you know it, the VCAA chief examiners, whatever else, say, no, you can't use that summary book. You're stuffed. Your teachers should have told you throughout the course of the year what you can and cannot take in a summary book. And I'm going to do the same now because it is critically important. A few years ago, I was standing outside waiting for students to go into their exam, and one kid who I didn't teach, who, to be honest with you, I didn't know from Adam, stood there with his summary book, and he got all these little post-it note sticky things sticking out of hundreds of pages. I mean, no word of a lie, there must have been 100 of them. And trying to save him from a very, very difficult conversation with the VCAA examiners, I said, look, I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to take all those out. No, I'm not. Well, no, you are, because you can't go in there with them in your book. Yeah, I can. I went in with my trial exams. Yeah, but your trial exams weren't run by the VCAA examiners. No, I'm not taking them off. Well, you're about to lose. So now we're in a bit of a confrontation. This guy is 10 minutes away from walking into his exam, and ultimately he's arguing with me. And I basically said, look, I'm trying to help you. You're going to have to take them out. At which point he cracked it, absolutely cracked it, pulled off all these little things, threw them all over the floor, confetti everywhere. Now, obviously, I just tried to help. That's the way he reacted. Stress does some strange things to people. But all I thought as he walked in was how stressed and how annoyed he was walking into his exam, when ultimately what he should have been was calm and focused. That altercation with me changed the whole way he walked into his exam. And there was no need to it, because the guidelines are clear of what you can and you cannot do. All right. VCAA examiners are not there to be your friends. They're not there to go, oh, it's okay this time, we'll let you off next time. Yeah. They are sticklers for the rules. So make sure you do and do not know what you can and cannot do when you walk in. Now, these are the VCAA guidelines from 2025. Okay. Your bound reference must be A4 or smaller when closed. It can have any number of pages. But again, why would you have 200 pages, right? You're not rewriting a textbook. Don't create your own textbook. That's crazy. The pages must be permanently bound and securely attached to your spine. They must have a single horizontal or vertical spine. It may be a textbook, although, to be fair, don't take a textbook in. A securely bound lecture pad. Okay. A permanently bound student-constructed set of notes without fold-outs. Again, you are not allowed things to fold out. If you need it, cut it. Stick it on 2 pages. It can be an exercise book. Now, exercise books are a good one. They must have binding that is secure, and pages must not readily be detachable or designed to be removed. Now, that means that perforations, if you have a summary book with perforations, now again, it seems stupid to me, because if you've got a ring binder, you can also rip pages out. I don't make the rules, trust me. But if you have perforated sides, you can't take that in, right? But your binding must be cloth, glue, staple, spiral, or comb binding. Cloth. Who walks in with cloth binding, unless it's some sort of, I don't know, project for, anyway, it doesn't really matter. But those are the things that you are allowed, okay? You're allowed to annotate your material, right? You can design your own written index. The front page, put your index in. Fold pages. You can fold pages in. You can't fold pages out. You can cut your page corners. If you want to flick through and know where things, cut your page corners. You can color code pages. I've known people who've put colors on the side of the pages. The time taken is nuts. Yes? Or dividers with your own sets of notes. Now, a word of warning. The dividers that have the little edges sticking out, you cannot have unless it's part of the book you have purchased. Now, that's new. I didn't know that. But if you've got little dividers sticking out outside of an A4 page, you can't have it. I think what this means is you can basically put pieces of cardboard in, so long as it's no bigger than A4, to be able to separate your sections. And if we're talking about general, that'd be data, finance, matrices, and networks. Firmly attached by glue, adhesive tape, or staples, additional material to the pages in the bound reference. They have to be secure. The examiners or someone will hold your book and they should shake it, all right? And if anything falls out, that is not good, all right? So, right. Now, I didn't know this, but your bound references can be consulted during reading time and throughout the examination. Reading time, I thought, was just reading time, so mind blown. What you can't do is write in it. Do not have a pen in your hand while you're doing the reading time, please. It's open to a world of hurt if you do. Now, your bound references are not allowed. Pages or parts of pages that can be detached from the bound reference during the examination, okay? Nothing that can be detached. So that's the perforations. Fold outs, maps, brochure style components. No, it can't fold outside. Remove all tabs, post-it notes, or other pages of material designed to be detached. We go back to that guy who had those little things down. No, don't do it. Don't set yourself up for an argument before you walk in. Forms of collation binding that are designed to be non-permanent and the content modified by like ring binder folders. Could you imagine how annoying it'd be if you're in the middle of an exam and someone's go click, 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 click. Plastic A4 sleeves. I have known somebody who walked into an exam with a load of plastic A4 sleeves and had to sit there 2 minutes before walking in, pulling all the pages out in the right order and then running around trying to get them bound. It was a nightmare. And again, that student walked in and the only thing they felt was stress when they walked in, or more stress. Manila and similar folders with clip, clamp, slide, and metal prong, all right? If any page or part of a page is detached from the rest of the bound reference, the page will be removed by the supervisor for the duration of the examination, and the incident will be reported as a potential breach of rules. Now, a word of warning there with a potential breach of rules. If you breach rules in a general maths exam, they can and probably will then assume that you've breached rules in other exams, and they will conduct an investigation into all of your exams. And trust me, I have been in a school where VCAA lawyers come in and sit in a room with you and ask questions about your conduct in an exam. It is really not fun, all right? And you really do risk, if they can prove that you did it maliciously, losing your exam results. So, okay, please, please, please don't do it. That would be silly. Right, these are my views on how not to create a summary book. Don't write a new textbook. There is already a textbook. I call that busy work. If you are sitting there writing out pages and pages of notes, all it's making you do is feel good. You feel like you're working, but actually you're really, really not, right? Because all that time you spent writing a new textbook could have been spent doing questions from the textbook, VCAA exams, company exams, practice SACs, and talking to your teacher and your friends. Do not play down how important that is. Writing a new textbook, someone's already done it. If you need to, take the textbook in. But again, don't try and make it neat and tidy. This is not your final summary book. Oh, no, 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 but I want it. No, don't, right? In a moment, I'm going to tell you something that may blow your brain, but it could also save you hours and hours of time. Don't rewrite notes in the evening. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I was at university, I did the same. Why? I didn't understand a thing that was going on in any of my lectures for electronics, and so thought, well, if I write it out at nighttime, maybe some of it will go in. It was a killer waste of time because trust me, nothing went in. All right. It was what I would have been better off doing was talking to my lecturers or in fact doing some questions. Anyway, don't make it look like a rainbow's thrown up on it. Not initially, all right? Color is really, really important, all right? And they say in the United Kingdom that those students who write notes in color, as opposed to those who do it in one color, will actually go up a grade. Color, your brain works in color. It loves color. It remembers color. Otherwise, nothing in our life would be color, including television. Don't write summary book after summary book after summary book. You just need one, all right? And don't try and write everything word for word, right? There's no point. It is just a waste of time. Now, the other thing I say is this. When your teacher is talking, listen, because the chances are they have the nuance that you need, right? They're not just teaching you the content, they're teaching you how to game VCAA, how to beat the system. That's certainly how I teach. When people are writing down, they're really not listening. You think you're listening, but you're probably only catching 50% of it, okay? Right, here's the big one. I tell my students you need 2 summary books. Yep, I'll wait. Okay, you're back up. Okay, cool. Right, summary book number 1 is literally a brain dump. Every time a student comes up and asks me a question at the moment, I tell them to then go back and put it in their summary book. Why? Because that tripped them up. It was that moment that they didn't understand something. Something didn't quite gel. They wrote it in their summary book to remember later on. It's written literally like a 4-year-old is, trying to write something of deep significance. Yeah, there are doodles in it for when you're a little bit like, oh, because pictures can actually save 1,000 words. So good pictures, but ultimately it looks a mess. It's a brain dump. VCAA questions that trip you over, those type of things. Then about 3 weeks before your exam, you create a summary of your summary book. I'll wait. Yep. Okay. Now, sadly, there are a lot of VCE general maths students, and I am being wildly stereotypical, but I've also taught a lot of them, who basically 2 weeks before the exam will sit there and just try and copy as much rubbish into a book as possible. Oh, I haven't got a summary book. I'm going to try and do a summary book. I'm just going to write stuff down. Sir, can I leave your lesson, please? I've got to photocopy 150 things. And they will sit in my lessons when everyone else is revising, cutting pieces of paper out and sticking them in. Why? Because it makes them feel good. Again, that is busy work. Making yourself feel good isn't, actually going to get you results. Doing questions and questions and questions. Now, I'm going to come to this in a moment, but the reason that you get a second summary book is at some point, just before the exam, you will have done loads and loads of past papers. And all of the stuff you wrote here, you will have revised and revised and revised. And so much of the stuff you've already written will now be so firmly in your head, you don't need to have it anymore. And when you summarize your summary book, you're getting rid of all the rubbish you no longer need, and you're just putting the stuff you can't remember. So for example, for me, I can never remember the difference between a walk, a trail, a path, a cycle, and whatever else. There's nothing in my head other than rote learning that helps me find that. So that's the type of stuff I put in my summary book. The writing frames for, on average, for every 1 unit increase in. All of these type of things, the different matrices, matrix algebra. But my summary book also has lots of exam questions that have tripped people up. The ones that really struggle. People were like, oh, that word. That goes in my summary book. And by the time you walk into the exam, your summary book probably should be about 10 or 15 pages. Now, again, don't quote me on that. It's totally up to you how many pages you want in there. But if you have got a good summary of your summary book and you've done enough past papers, you should be remembering most of the stuff that you need. So here we go. This is the Maths Guru summary book. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's about 96 pages. Yes, it's long, but I've got stuff written in there that hopefully will nudge you in the right direction. These are the things I can't remember. These are the things that are important because I've seen them come up. Yes, challenging VCAA questions, stuff I've tripped over. Now, when I give these at the start of the year to my students, I say, right, the only way this is useful is if you read over it every single day we do it and work out what is and isn't in the summary book. Read over it and go, do you know what, Mr. Smith, you made no sense. You wrote that. All right, I'm going to rewrite it. And you write it in your words. You scribble over it and add stuff because it is there as a guide to what I think could turn into a good summary book for you a little bit later on. All right, so it's there to try and help you. Now, if you want it, it's available at www.mathsguru.com. You can sign up for free. And I'm going to be honest with you, there is a small charge for this. It took me a long time to create this book and a long time to put together all of the stuff that I think could be useful. If you pay that very small fee, then ultimately you get access to all of my videos as well. Now, those videos, I hope, are also really useful. Lots and lots of students turn around and say to me, hey, you know what, Guru, your videos were really helpful and actually got me over the line for my high study scores, okay? The whole course is there. And if you pay for the study book, you get all of the videos and downloadable summary book notes as well. But again, don't feel you have to. Now, on a tangent, something else that can help you do really, really well is actually knowing how to use your CAS. So here's some basic CAS rules for when you walk into your exam. 1, keep it charged. I don't know a school that I've worked in that if you walk up to me 2 minutes before the exam and says, can I charge my CAS? It'll be a yes. You're stuffed. You walk into a VCE exam with a bad CAS and it fails halfway through the exam, what are you going to do? Because as per the VCAA guidelines, you're allowed to take in 1 CAS and 1 scientific calculator. So make sure it's charged. Yeah, if your calculator is acting up and being dodgy, and I'm really sorry because I know money is tight and these things are $250. Do what you can to buy one that actually is going to work. Okay, it is soul destroying watching kids sit an exam when suddenly the CAS doesn't do what they're expecting it to do. And don't borrow your mate's CAS. You don't know what state it's in. All right, so check it's got the latest software updates. Some calculators I have seen have so old operating systems, it is crazy, and you don't have many of the new functions. So for example, for the TI Inspire, the construct mat function is incredibly important, as is the UDS, which I'll come to in a moment. But knowing that you've got the latest software means you've also got all the latest functions that could be useful to you. Now, there is a website called lazymath.github.io, which has a load of UDFs. Now, a UDF is a user-defined function that you can basically put into your CAS and take into an exam. A word of warning that I'm led to believe that some of these UDFs for methods and specialist maths are not working properly. I can't work out which ones they are because I haven't played with it. It's just a word of warning to be very, very careful if you download stuff. Test and test and test to make sure they work. The one for general maths that's really important is the Hungarian algorithm, which you can actually download from the TI Inspire website, I believe. Okay, so that is incredibly important, but not just having it on your calculator, knowing how to use it. Make sure you know how to use all the functions and quickly. Your VCE exam will be time pressured. Why? Because that's what VCAA do. Why? Because unfortunately, it's a differentiator. They know that there will be students who will run out of time. All right. And unfortunately, the students who do this exam quickly and accurately will always get rewarded with marks. Okay. It sucks. I know. I can't help that. It's the way the system is. But know how to use it quickly. More importantly, know how to use the keyboard shortcuts. For example, menu 852 is the effective interest rate. Menu 851, nominal effective rate, nominal interest rate. 717, I think, is solving systems of equations. Again, I can't remember what 317. See, I don't even know them, but for me, I don't need to know them. You're the one sitting in the exam. What else? Have a scientific calculator just in case. I can't labor that enough. A scientific calculator, if your CAS dies, yes, you're not going to be able to do linear relationships or linear regressions. I get it. But you'll be able to do all the other math stuff if you need to. And it's better to do that than not do that. All right. Now, research has suggested, and I don't have that research, I keep quoting it, but I can promise you now that this was told to me a long time ago, that if you do 20 paper ones and 20 paper twos from the VCAA website, all downloadable, the chances are you could, on average, raise your raw score by 10. Again, let that sink in. 10 points. Why? Because a lot of the questions are very formulaic. Yes, the more you do, the more you get used to the style, the better you do. The more you do, the better you do. Now, look, you are going to trip over. That's the whole point. There is nothing more boring than somebody who gets all the work right because they're not learning anything, right? Now, if you get stuff wrong, it means one of two things, right? It's either going to completely soul destroy you, and I hope it isn't, or you're actually going to go and seek help from someone. Go and talk to a teacher, talk to me, talk to some mates. Sit there and go, look, I couldn't do this, because I promise you, the more time you put into this, and it is not an admission of failure. If you can't do these questions, it's not an admission of failure. It means that VCAA have done a good job in tripping you up. They're testing your understanding and not your regurgitation. So 20 past papers. Now you're going to try and say, oh, I can't do that. Well, actually, my students have already done it. And believe it or not, the ones I'm currently teaching, and I'm recording this now in April, have already done about 20 past papers and completed all of the finance questions. Yes. Why? Because we've done finance. We're not going to do finance again now. So all the questions in the VCAA papers that relate to the finance section are absolutely fair game. So they're going to do those now. When we finish data and statistics, they'll do all the data and statistics questions now for those 20 papers, and then the matrices, and then the networks. So by the time they get to about halfway through September, my students will have already completed 20 past papers. Now, if we put that into perspective, that's before many, many other students even start revising. So if we're talking about this as a competition, as some sort of race, theoretically speaking, many of my students are already ahead of the game because they've already done 20 papers. Now, what are they going to do? They're going to start working on the company papers, Insight, NEEP, Heffernan, MAV. They're going to try and find as many questions as they can to trip up. But they're not going to be spending hours and hours a night doing it. Why? Because they're now used to doing it. They'll be spending 45 minutes a night, maybe, doing a past paper, looking over the questions that are more complicated, the ones that might trip them up. So by the time they walk in, they'll have a wealth of questions, not only in their head, but in their summary books that have tripped them up and obviously there to make sure they don't trip up as well. All right. So the number of past papers, really, really important. Now, again, I'm done for this particular video. Hopefully it has been useful. But again, just to know, mathsguru.com, free to sign up. There is that general math summary book there. Methods and special will be coming. I promise you, they're taking a lot longer to create because it does take a long, long time to create these such that they're useful for you. If you do decide to download the book, don't just download it, bind it and forget about it. Sit there and read over it. Compare it to what you've currently got as notes. Decide what's missing, what could be improved, and spend a year writing a summary book that, again, initially looks like a rainbow's thrown up on it or, some 4-year-old's got hold of it. such that before you walk into the exam, you summarize it again. Whatever happens, I'm going to wish you the very best of luck coming up. Hopefully this video has been useful. If it has, can you subscribe to my YouTube channel? That just lets me know that someone watched the video. Leave a like below. If there's stuff that you don't agree with or you want me to improve, let me know, and I can happily record this video again, making it even better. I want this to be the resource that VCE students use to be able to do well in their summary book for maths subjects. And again, the advice I've given may well be for general, but on the whole, it's pretty good across the board. Right, I'm done. Hopefully, I will see you again. Again, there are courses here. All of the maths courses for methods and general are recorded. Specialist maths is being uploaded now, and it is there to try and help you do as well as you possibly can. Take care. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.